Hey, well, actually, it's not. It's Thursday now for me, but it means that it is time for another episode of Camera and Flask. Welcome, one and all. Bart Johnson, welcome back. Great to have you back live with us again. Who I know you've not been able to be in the live streams for several weeks with all your house stuff, so great to see you again. He was in the chat like an hour before we started, so I just wanted to make a special sort of shout out for him today. And you two, my good friends, it's wonderful to see you as always. House tricks, what have we been up to? Jem, you're looking pretty warm, rosy.
Oh, thank you. I'm actually in the barn for the first time in months and months and months. Ran about 100 foot of Ethernet cable, and it's working. So here we are with the first test of Ecamm Live and me hosting a reasonably decent quality live stream from here. And fully set up around me for some educational videos for Canon around their R5 and R6, so we're working on that. And brilliant, I've got my 16-year-old daughter has been working with me on the production, so she helped me build the studio. She's black balancing cameras every day. She's helping build the set, and she's getting paid, and I don't have to wear a mask, which is brilliant. Get your family to be your crew, and
she's your margins go right up. It's great.
She's a camera, so she's just babysitting the lockdown wide, and it's really interesting to see how far she's come. And she also assisted with us on the photo job we did, and I don't know where she'll go with what she's interested in. She has a lot of interest at 16, but she's doing a great job, so I'm proud of her. So there you go. There's a dad thing happening, but it's been nice to have her working with me. Yeah, so it's good.
That's very cool. Very cool. Caleb, what are you up to this week? What's new?
We finally finished the additional space in the studio. So we're going to be moving in the next couple of days. It's going to be similar to Jem, running Ethernet all over the place. Figuring out where things are going to go. Probably, unfortunately, an IKEA run. All that fun stuff.
Is it open in Illinois? It's not. I don't think ours is open yet.
I haven't even checked yet. That's a good point.
Yeah, it is here.
Closed. Oh, is it? Okay. So yeah, all that fun stuff. Working on a DIY project for the first time in a long time. So talk to Jem about it. That'll be available for the masses here soon. So it's pretty exciting. And all the camera news, keeping up with everything, all the drama.
I want to shout out to Scott, who's here, and Rob, and some other people who don't get to be here every week. So it's really nice to have them here, and of course our normal cast of characters, and we know who they are, and they'll come streaming in and creating some trouble. We like that. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. IKEA, that is the one thing I love about going there, is that all the little sort of travel pouches and things make great little camera storage bags and cables and all that kind of stuff. But I think every really major close to marriage ending argument we've ever had in our 23 years together has been as a result of an IKEA trip.
Because of the bill?
No, I think I just become an absolute asshole when I walk into the place. I hate it so much.
Yeah, you got to get the system down where you order it or you put it all on your list, and you don't go through the whole store. You literally you sneak through the exit and go straight to like the basement, low level, where you just grab your stuff and buy it and get out of there. If you start going through the whole layout, if it's like it is over here, it's over.
Yeah, no, you see, like we're on the same wavelength. This is the problem. I know where everything is. I know the aisles if we have to go. We're going to blitz this and out. But the other method of going around there is to actually spend time and look in every place and go around all the little sets and the whole thing. And that's where that kind of slightly different methodology with IKEA creates some tension at times. Anyway, there we go. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question before we get into the libations? This is for you, Ben. I see you wearing a Kodak T-shirt, which I appreciate, or it seems to be, as far as I can tell, right? That's Kodak logo.
Yes, it is.
Okay, what the hell ever happened to this Super 8 camera that they were going to release 400 years ago? That was the big thing. Do you know what I'm talking about? This Super 8.
I know exactly what you're talking about, with the tiny little like 1-inch sort of preview screen on it or whatever it had. It was all that kind of crazy thing that we all got really excited about, and it never materialized. And what happened? Did Kodak not borrow like $1 gazillion this week and then to start making something entirely unrelated?
Yep.
What was it they're making?
Oh, it was supposed to be
Like
pharmaceutical, and their stock went
and they sell
crazy.
cryptocurrency.
Yes.
Yes, of course.
So I don't know what's happening over there.
So we definitely know what's happening in Ben's place, though, because he's wearing a Kodak T-shirt. So cryptocurrency and pharmaceuticals. What's going on? And we know about the big trade in the Czech Republic. So what are you cooking over there, Ben? What's happening?
Here we go again. This was from London.
Okay,
this is from Primark and Primani. They're like the cheapest clothes known to mankind, and they must have done some deal when they were desperate with them for licensing. But I can only wear it in this kind of, when we're doing a live stream and I'm online and there's just like this much of it in, because it's too big a logo. I don't have the figure to carry off a logo that big. It goes way too far down. I'm too, it's not a good look. It's fine like this.
I see. That's nice.
Special occasions only. There we go. On that note, let's get to one of the cornerstones of our weekly gathering. What are we drinking? Let us start with, let's see what Caleb's draining the dregs of this week.
All right. So we are going gem style here.
Oh, a full bottle.
Unleaded. Which one?
Yeah, just about full.
Is it just 12? Just a straight 12? Nice.
This is the double oak 12.
Oh, you spent a little extra, because that ain't cheap. Yeah. Okay. You must have.
Very nice.
Very nice.
So
okay.
Pop that open.
I've been back on
town this week.
I've been on the Glenlivet Founders Reserve again, which I'm kind of feeling I like more than the 12 personally. Just the regular 12, not the double oak that you're having, Mr. Fancy Pants over there. Let's let I was supposed to have this up closer to me because I'm trying to keep it cold because I'm in the barn. So my AF's going to go crazy, but you'll have fun. It'll be like a party. Watch yourself.
Hey, it made it. It worked. It didn't flip out.
So this is my hopefully I didn't. This is my gateway drug to IPAs. Okay, this is Crux, which is based out of Bend. It's called Half Hitch. It's actually a double, but it drinks like a single. It's phenomenal. It's a slightly large bottle, just so that you know. So I have a slightly large mason jar to fit it in. This is a 750 milliliter, and it's 9.5%. So let's get drinking, kids.
At 3 p.m. in the afternoon.
No, it's the only.
Right,
it's the only.
Caleb,
It's the only time I can drink this early.
We got to get it done in the next 20 minutes because there's going to be no stopping him after that.
That's not true.
Right,
Listen,
exactly.
No, but the deal is that it is 3:00, so I can have this. This is the only one I'm going to have, and yeah, let's see what happens. I'm gonna slowly pour this into this giant mason jar.
So you're filming a series of videos that we won't talk about on air, but what's going to be hilarious is when these videos come out, you're going to be like super normal Gem, and then for like 3 videos randomly in the middle of the series, you're going to be like, hey guys, you're going to be super excited about this feature.
There's no shooting today. We're done. No production today. It won't start again until tomorrow.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
No. I would not do that. I'm a good boy.
I know.
So,
You're a professional.
There we go.
Yep.
I am. Well, yeah. What's that? Come on, AF. Maybe I'd take my pulsing AF over yours. I have the XT4. It's doing better today.
Go.
Ah, there we go. Tell us.
So I'm on Rioja. So this is Spanish dry red wine, which interestingly also comes in a 750 milliliter bottle and is of similar percentage to what you're drinking, and you're doing the entire bottle. So there we go. Just to put that
Interesting.
into context.
Hey, Huevos.
stronger.
Hey, Memo. And then Cape Cod with Tito's. Okay, it's time. I don't know what Rob is saying. He's saying no in Rob, you're cheeky. Okay, there we go. Let's do it. Cheers.
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 We'll wait an hour for Ben.
Right.
Yes, I am drinking out of a pickle jar, small brown fox.
It does.
And you
like
can
me
say
drink
you can do
salmon.
FFS. It's okay. You can do FFS and Camera Flask. So you don't have to just put a G in the middle. Just go for it. Um,
Pickle jar. Have you ever had that horrible? I'm trying to remember what it's called. It's a thing that they drink in Poland, but it's when you
nope.
get a jar of
Nope.
pickles and the liquid, the vinegar that has had the
Nope.
cucumbers in it for all that time.
Brine.
They
Yep.
mix that with vodka, the
Nope.
liquid that comes out
Nope.
after it's been in there. It's called a.
Weird.
Someone help me out and tell me what that's called. It's horrific, but then
It's like
kind
a
of
funky
addictive.
version of a like martini.
Yeah, it sounds disgusting. It sounds dirty. Rob, let me just tell you something. All of my kids break all the glasses in our house, and I think I just went to go get my last pint glass that I have from a pub in England, a proper one. Like I would go to pubs and just buy them off of them and say, "Let me just give you a couple of quid and I'll
You
take
don't need
those."
to do that. You just put them up your jumper and walk out.
Okay, Mr. Honesty. I'm just saying that they keep breaking all the glasses, and I think my last pint glass is gone now, never to be seen.
Oh,
So,
man.
yeah, I'm gonna have to go to Amazon and get some El Cheapos, which will probably last longer than those. Who knows?
Probably. Thank you, Robert. A pickleback. That's what it's called. I'm sure it's called. Yeah.
It does sound dirty. Okay, let's get down to business here. I can't
It
take
is.
it. Pickleback in
All
the
right.
220.
Get
What you
your
gonna
pickle
do
off my
tomorrow?
back and let's start the show.
I need a pickleback in the 220. Let's go. And the
All right. Well,
dongle.
just before we
Bag
get
full of
onto
dongles.
this week's topics, news-wise this week, a quick 2-minute roundup of anything interesting that's come out. All sorts of stuff with our weekly topic for the last month, it seems, on the R series of cameras, in that it seems the big scandal controversy this week is that they don't overheat at all. It's just a software thing that they're programmed to shut off after that time. So,
Yes. Kind words from somebody on the internet. Always glass half full.
Yeah.
Okay.
oh, it's glass
Well,
half full.
in Canon's defense, I think, I mean, I'm not saying it's right or the right way to do it, but it's really tricky. I saw some Chinese guy bought it and took it apart, and there's no heat sink at all on the processor. It's just sitting in there. So sealed body, zero heat sink, not even aluminum or anything. And each of those, maybe I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's like a range of specs with those. They're not every single one exactly the same. Like if you buy a CPU or a graphics card, when it comes to overclocking them, even if you buy two of the same cards, one can be a rock star and overclock like crazy. The other might not be able to handle it. So I wonder if Canon just kind of did a blanket, let's just take the worst performance, metric, and then just apply the timers to that. Not saying it's right or that, they shouldn't have put a temperature sensor to better regulate stuff. I don't know. I'm not smart.
It's interesting
enough,
because they are
very interesting.
They are still being conservative, probably in certain respects, but they're also being more transparent than they've ever been. So it's this weird combination. So far I haven't had any issues. I'm not saying they're definitely going to there's a timer that shows up on the R5 when you put it into a particular recording mode. And the timer is not your time. You can see how much record time you can have in terms of you have 29, minutes and 59 seconds. But when you see the white time and it shows up and you set it to, let's say, 8K RAW to the CF Express card, and then you're also recording 4K UHD to the SD card, it'll say 15 minutes, and that is pretty accurate. And after 15 minutes, you're probably toast for a while.
You're done.
So, yeah. So, you're going to have to really learn. If you own that camera, you're going to have to learn. It's like, 4K standard up to 30, you can go, all day long. That's going to be fine. And then as soon as you start to get to higher frame rates and you start to do, of course, 8K, it seems actually that 8K RAW is less intensive than the 8K All-I or IPB. And I would recommend to most people with common, like NLEs, definitely go IPB for most of the stuff that you're doing. I think you're going to have a hard time with All-I in general. with most of these mirrorless cameras. That's not just, the R5 and the R6. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting.
3
Definitely
years
more,
from now, next
yeah,
camera generation, I think, is going to be
rock. Yeah,
they're
it's
not going to do this all over again.
No. And the other thing, no, I'm not going to get the Tilta-fans. The other thing is that the readout for sure on the R5, though, is much faster than the R6. So if you're talking about rolling shutter, it's definitely more pronounced on the R6 than it is on the R5. So you should be aware of that. These are all the little things you start to learn as you start to use the camera. The AF is ridiculously fast. And so far from what I'm seeing, the 4K normal image quality is very good. It's definitely a sharp sensor. So, I think a lot of people will be using that normal for those longer record times. But, when you start to get to 60, you're going to have to be careful. You're going to have to really manage that, and that's definitely a consideration. So that's the reality of it. Yep.
All right. Well, unless there's anything else from the news this week that we'd like to discuss now in this little segment before we get into our staying motivated bit. Anything else?
Just looking at the chat, should Canon recall the R5? Probably not. What? I think, I think they're going to have to, I'm sure we'll see firmware updates to the camera in the future, and we'll just see what those firmware updates do. And Scott's going to sous vide his Komodo using the R5 as a heater. Ridiculous. And... You're ridiculous. Look, we've never had it better across the boards. Just keep doing your research and buy the camera that's going to best suit you for your production. That's my feeling. And you will. It's all going to work out.
All right. Well, then in terms of we've never had it better, let's talk about 2020. And
unbelievable.
Great camera year, not so great everything else.
Yeah. So I suppose this week's topic is staying motivated and in brackets creative during 2020. So I guess before we even get to that, I suppose a good place to start is how has this affected what we do? I know we spoke about this sort of early on in this sort of crisis. But I suppose if we get to sort of how things have changed for us a little bit, and then how that's potentially knocked the wind out of our sails and our normal kind of momentum of the work that we're doing and the creative work that we're doing, obviously, because that's what we all do. And then we can get into how we're kind of coping with that and figuring out this misnomer that gets termed as the new normal, which doesn't really exist because everything keeps shifting. So. I would guess, of the three of us, Caleb, I would assume that it's probably, from a work point of view at least, affected you the least of us. Has that generally been the case? Have you been able to more or less carry on as normal?
Yes, definitely from the aspect of, I can continue to shoot, I can continue to do what I've been doing without, there's a period of time where I had my employee at home. But, it's not like a lot of people were like, you can't go out on set. You can't go places with people. If you do, there's limitations. So nothing there. Revenue-wise, we were doing pretty much normal. And then some stuff went down, and now we're, down. And it looks like it's going to stay that way going forward. So financially, definitely an effect, but not... from a work perspective, whereas a lot of people like clients gone, jobs gone, all that not good stuff.
Yes. Yeah. And Jem, I'm guessing you and me are in a fairly similar boat.
Yeah, somebody's saying my audio's too hot, so I'm just going to turn that down just a little bit and see if that helps. That's just one piece of feedback, so I'm not going to go too crazy on it, but just let me know if that's a little bit better. We normally do a check around the three of us before we go live, so let's see how that goes. And we got a down thumb. I don't know why, but we got one. By the way, before I answer that question, sorry for YouTube and the mid-rolls, which are a piece of crap. They seem to be inserting mid-rolls like every 2 to 2.5 minutes on these live streams. And I'm trying to go back now and remove about 80% of those mid-rolls. So just a heads up, nothing had changed on my end. YouTube made a change recently where they started to do mid-rolls at the 8-minute mark as opposed to 10 minutes or something like that. And I think they've rippled down and they've done something crazy there. I also did a live stream for a virtual event on Sunday. And when I came back to edit it, because we always take the intermission part of the musician or musicians out, I didn't see any audio waveforms. I just saw the video track. So there's some changes happening in YouTube Studio that are not making me happy right now, but there we go. So I apologize for interjecting that, but I just wanted to bring that out. What did somebody 360 grad? Yeah.
I just assumed that you were trying to make up for lost income from the general 2020 stuff. You just gone.
Yeah.
Whatever the YouTube. Yeah, every 30 seconds here.
Select all, check all the ads.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you're right, Bart. I think they're definitely trying to capitalize with all the live streaming. So for me, 2020 has been a shit year, like for everybody. I'd say I'm probably down about a good 80%. So I'd say probably since this thing started, I probably made 20% of the income I would have normally made. That's just a guess. Now I'm lower than everybody. FFS, here we go. Let's see if that's better, and you'll let me know. So, for me, it has had a really significant effect on my business and what I'm doing. Just recently, it started to pick up. But I think that the thing that we need to talk about probably more than anything else is the mental side of how this has affected us, because, being motivated during what's happened this year has definitely had huge ups and downs for me. I've had times where I felt more productive than I had been prior to, because there was something in me, like a fire, to be motivated to say, I've got to figure this out. And family is a great motivator. When you've got a wife and kids, or you just have people that you take care of, a partner and people in your household, you have responsibility for somebody other than yourself, then that's an amazing motivator to figure things out. And I've really had some hard times, for sure, over the last 4 to 5 months. I feel overall I've been very productive, but there's definitely been, a full week here or there where I've just felt completely unmotivated to do anything. And I just wake up and I'm just like, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll push that off. I'm not responding sometimes to people as much because there's so many things mentally that I'm juggling, but also in the family sense. It's, the needs of a family that are there all of the time, as opposed to having daily routines which were completely different prior to everything that's happening, I think makes it really hard, especially when you work from home. And you and I, Ben, have a component of our lives that used to exist which had travel in it. And this was almost my recharge time. It was incredibly productive, but it was also where I got headspace to say, okay, this is where I'm going to go next. Because when you go back to a hotel room and you've had a 12-hour day and you're decompressing and you don't have kids jumping on you, or you don't have to cook a dinner, or you don't have to do those things, these are the times where you start to think about those things. And it's hard to do those things for me now. So I know I'm kind of digressing a little bit. Those are just throwing some things out that maybe can be part of the conversation. Yeah,
it's interesting. I think I'm very much in the same sort of view as you. That I kind of liked. My travel was huge. I think I did 67 flights last year, which is a little more than normal, but it's at least 50 plus, every year for the last 5 years. And part of that, for those of you that are new to the show, I live in the Czech Republic, and my business until recently has pretty much all been elsewhere. So it's been in the UK, Norway, wherever. So yeah, traveling all the time for that. And I agree that I'd become so used to traveling that it was so much part of my sort of chaotic life in a way that I was most relaxed when I wasn't traveling. You start to get a bit twitchy. and then I always liked sort of that when I'm on the road and when I'm doing those trips, which are generally production trips, that I'm very busy and focused on that, and everything's very hectic. And then I come home and everything's kind of quite calm. And now, obviously, everything's just been here. So it's been particularly difficult because the UK stuff, everything's, I can travel there, but it's nigh on impossible to do anything. The demand's not particularly there for the industries that I work in right now. There's people asking questions, the phone's ringing. I'm a little bit the same as you, that like I've become slightly slower at getting back to people because you're trying to work out how to fit things in. Can I go there? Because it's quite difficult to travel right now, and is it worth going for that one day's job, or do I need to do, it's all this kind of stuff. And I'm the same as you in that mentally I found it incredibly difficult because I'm stuck here as well, so I haven't seen a lot of my UK family that are still there. I haven't seen since December. I haven't been in the UK since December at all, and that sort of takes a toll. And then it's just this thing that I said earlier, that there is no, you settle into things. When you say, well, right, this is how things are now, great, we recalibrate, this is how things are going to work. But there isn't that, because everything's continually changing. So I don't know. It's very hard. I've had weeks where I've been in a real state with myself, as you were saying as well, and I tend to be very bouncing around. Then a week where I'm feeling much better, I'm very positive about things, and back down again. And that's been a sort of over the last few months. That's been a fairly stable pattern, I think. So it's tricky, and part of it as well, I think, is just not particularly feeling overly, sort of, when I've got work on that's client work, then I get really into that. Then that whole sort of creative thing kicks in, because I've got to do a good job for the client. I've got to think this through properly. And your head just speeds up. And I haven't been doing that, and I haven't been particularly inclined to. I haven't had that motivation, which is what we're talking about. I kind of lost it completely. And then there's a project I'm working on here at the moment, and the first shooting day was a couple of weeks ago, and it's back instantly, which was kind of reassuring, because you go, is this like, a sportsman? Do you need to keep this trained? And nah. Yeah. So I'm quite kind of happy to have a break from it as well, and do other things, spend time with the family, gardening, whatever. In a way, stepping back from it and seeing a bit of a big picture and going, where do we go from here now? How do we sort stuff out? How do you secure some income that's not reliant on getting on a plane? That's the big thing right now.
What about motivation for you, Caleb? I mean, do you find that's been a problem for you in the last few months? How does it feel for you,
Yeah. Well, right as all this hit, I tell my wife all the time, I don't know what the frequency is, but every once in a while I go through this kind of depression curve of, because I just create content on YouTube. I get this, and it's very lonely for anyone else out there who's making content and that's their main thing. It's just you. Like what we didn't do this year, which was NAB, I always enjoy, especially this year, because I was going to be helping Jem out with projects and filming. And there's something about taking up arms, if you will, with your brothers, and hitting the battlefield of production and, setting up problem solving together. There's something about that camaraderie that I haven't had in a long time. So that's kind of my once a year people spike, and then it's just back to me in the studio. So you get kind of in your head, and I usually every once in a while get into this either being, it's a combination of being just burned out of creating, a piece of work every single week, having to come up with something creative, battle through title, thumbnail. If you get that wrong in YouTube, all that work is just trashed immediately. If the algorithm doesn't pick it up, that's exhausting. And then with COVID, spending more time at home for various reasons, skipping a couple weeks. I was sick, potentially with COVID at the beginning of the year, not really sure.
Yeah, I remember.
3 months of being ill. And then, this office thing, not making videos. More and more, I've just become disinterested and dispassionate about all of this. And I've always enjoyed filmmaking, making videos, video gear, been passionate about it. But I think one of the key things for me has always been finding something that's difficult to explain or people don't understand, and finding a way to organize the information and helping people understand it. Like, that's the best feeling in the world, when someone's like, wow, I never even heard of that or thought of it that way, and that really helped me. Like, that's what fuels me. And every once in a while, and I've been in this rut for a long time of late, of just feeling like it's not there. I'm not getting that done. And this has been the longest period of time where I've felt, just kind of like not hanging up the hat, but kind of hanging up the hat, just being kind of done with all of this. And, I say that with keeping in mind that I'm incredibly fortunate and blessed to have this job, all of this. So I'm small violin, and then you tack on, some loss of income, everything happening in the world, and it feels kind of just like, really, do we need to be talking and flipping out about overheating and, on Canon cameras? And it just feels so frivolous.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
This is dumb. That's what I feel like often these days. And it's been like that for a while, for several months. Usually it's like a week or two and I'm back. So
yeah, I love talking about equipment, but I definitely feel that I'm even more tired between what we have to deal with when it comes to media and quote unquote journalism, because I don't know if there's such a thing as like unbiased journalism anymore. I don't know if it exists in our lives. And so between that and people who are so freaking negative about something that, as you just said, is so frivolous. It's so not important. I think the three of us have always taken the opinion that while we'll have our beef at times with something, and we definitely will dig into that if we feel it's something that is really, really affecting things, we tend to take the viewpoint that we are more ambassadors for the industry rather than, okay, we're going to play favorites now because it's just the best thing that came out at this point in time. Because we all know that the circle of camera companies just changes, right? It's going to be Sony now, and then it's going to be Panasonic, then it's going to be Canon, then it's going to be Red, especially now that the Komodos come out, or it's going to be Blackmagic, whatever it is. There's going to be this circle that exists where there's going to be the better one from somebody for a period of time. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to start bashing that, king of the hill, and somebody else is going to come and take over the throne, of what that is. But the reality is that that's never going to stop. So we're getting great technology. We pick the tools that are the best for us for what we're doing. And I'm kind of sick of the negativity side of what happens. I'm all for being candid about what the pluses and minuses are about a particular product. You're not supposed to just sugarcoat it. I'm doing a training series for Canon right now on the R5 and R6, but I'm still going to give you my viewpoints on what I think about the cameras. So what's the purpose of the training series? It's to teach people about the features that exist in those cameras. It's not to be hired by Canon to say, you don't have a problem because these cameras really don't overheat. That's not what the purpose is. It's to say, here's a feature, here's how you use it, and there's your video-based manual on using that product. But I think we could all take note that it's better to go at things with a constructive way of criticizing something and having a conversation. And I think that that's probably the hardest thing that people like you have to deal with, Caleb. You have a very supportive community, but everybody who has numbers as a creator and who creates content on YouTube has a lot of negativity that they have to deal with as well. And it's exhausting because it's not generally based in reality, and it's usually coming from people who are not doing production day in and day out. You're doing production day in and day out. I'm doing production day in, day out. Ben's doing production day in and day out. It's all different types of production. But the truth is that when we're working, we are producing real content, and we're having to, deal with production. And that's the other thing that I have a huge beef with is people saying because you have a successful YouTube channel and you're no longer doing jobs for external clients, that you're not a content creator or a storyteller. It's just as hard to create content on a regular basis for a channel. What Caleb does is production. That's what it is. He has just done it in a way that he now is able to do it himself and produce his content and educate people and help people figure things out. And that really pisses me off, to be honest with you, is when people do that. I have a huge beef with, oh, well, you're not out in the real world. Well, production is production. So if you're producing content at a certain level and at high quality and you're doing that, I don't give a rat's ass if you're doing it for an external client or you're doing it for yourself as a company. You're producing content. And if the quality's low, okay, fine, it's low. Don't watch the quality, the content. But if you're just giving somebody a hard time because they're not doing it for somebody else, then that's a bunch of BS. Sorry, I went on a tangent.
That's all right. It's an interesting point, and it's something that I've wanted to ask both of you about for a long time, and for some reason never have. And I have to say that my huge YouTube following of the 47 and followers that I have, and the 10 videos that I have, people have generally been quite kind. But obviously I follow both of you. I watch your content, and I see the shit that you end up, getting posted on in amongst. The obviously the very decent and grateful comments that are generally obviously the 99% of them. You see, I know that I would take that very much to heart. It's like if a client ever complains about a job, I take that incredibly personally. Even if if it's minor changes. The thing is, it's that, and I think a lot of creative people are the same. That your motivation isn't money. It's doing the job right. Obviously, money's part of it, but it's that thing. I think a lot of us are quite needy in terms of approval and praise for the stuff that we do. And do you take that to heart, or is it water off a duck's back after this long?
I'm going to give a very short answer, and then I'm going to give it to Caleb. Very short answer, which is I only take it to heart if there's truth in the comment, which was the greatest learning experience for me when I was doing the 5 days a week, gearboxes when I started creating content. If there's truth in it, then it hurts, and I have to just pull myself up and go figure it out and learn and educate myself. Somebody made a comment today about a video that I had done, and they said, you should do this, this, and this. And because I read the comment and I knew, with confidence what it was I was trying to do in that video, I said, that's not the purpose of the video. The purpose of the video was this, this, and this. What you're saying is valid, but not in relationship to this. So if I have certainty and I have confidence in what it is that I'm creating the content on, then the comments have no relevance to me at all in terms of affecting me emotionally. But if there's an element of truth in them, I'm not going to get into a back and forth. I don't engage generally. I only engage if I have certainty, and I can say it with a glass half full viewpoint. But if I feel like there's something in what they're saying that has truth that I need to get better at and educate myself in, then I just go off and crawl into a little hole for a while and figure it out. And then I may or may not create a video about it, but that's kind of how I deal with it. But it definitely doesn't keep me up at night. That's for sure. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay,
yeah, that's a great way to go about it. I agree. When someone's right, if I, every once in a while there's a video, you're like, it needs to be done. Someone sent me something. I shouldn't have accepted this, or I shouldn't have, whatever. I just need to just get it over with. Or a video that you put a lot of time into that you now realize maybe you shouldn't publish, but you're just going to get it done and be done with it. Essentially lazily getting something out there. And people are like, this is bad. Those hurt. Yep. But and it's good stuff. But over time it's gotten easier. I just don't care anymore. 10 years of getting tomatoes thrown at me for various reasons. And I just don't read them anymore. I'll read, pro tip, if you want to interact with me on my channel, for the first hour, 2 hours, maybe the first day, especially the first hour, I keep close eye on the comments, and I hang out with people then. And then beyond that, I might never read the comments again. I just skim every once in a while, but I just kind of let it go out there. But yeah, it sucks when someone's like, throws poop on your stuff.
Yeah.
But more and more, it's unlike a client. Whereas a client, you worked with them, you've corresponded with them. Often you've, broken bread with them. So when they give you stuff, that's rough, really rough. But if it's some guy who, just reads EOS HD and DP review all day long and is, giving you a hhard time, like,
he went there.
It doesn't bother me at all.
No. And here's the other thing. I think that talking to what you're saying, Caleb, the older I get and the more I've worked with external clients, the more time I spend on my proposal and my outline for a project, because I don't want somebody to sign off on a project until we have a really, really great blueprint of what it is. To me, the goal is always to create a project where I'm giving the client the correct estimation of what it is they're going to get in terms of the return on the product I'm creating. And I don't like gray. It's black or white. So put everything in writing, and if you need to clarify, update. And until you feel confident yourself that what you are outlining as a project for the client is what it should be, don't ask them to say, oh, this is the final. Oh, wait, let me update that proposal and that budget for you until you feel strongly enough that if they signed it, you had confidence, you knew what it was that you were going to produce for them. I think that that's a big thing for me. And I spent a lot of time in pre-production making no money, but I know that when I get a client and I get a job, I know exactly what it is I'm going to produce for them. There's going to be challenges, there's going to be problem solving, but I'm not working out the politics of having to figure out with them what it is that we're doing anymore. It's just sort of the normal shit that we have to deal with, as opposed to the I should have done this before we actually started the project type of stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think I work as time goes on, I've become more and more the same. It's not possible for every single job, but the jobs that I tend to go after now are things that are planned out to such a large degree that essentially we're working to a storyboard. So they know what the story is. I know what the story is, as long as you kind of match that. But it's even when it's like little notes that come back, which really are very inconsequential and of no bother to me to change. So even stuff like music, if it's going, you just choose something, which you never do. You go, no, here's the music library. You choose something, or you choose like 10 that you like, and I'll tell you which one I think suits the project best. That's kind of my general thing now. But even that. Even if I've chosen the track and they've come back, it's great, don't like it, and then I even take that to heart. It's this ridiculous sort of thin-skinned thing, which I'm not like that with everything, but it's just, I don't know, it's a bit of an odd thing, I think. And then, well, I suppose the other thing then, moving on into how things are changing, because just before we went live, we were talking about so the studio that I have in the UK, and looking at potentially not continuing on with that, and also because travel's so difficult now, and going backwards and forwards to the UK, because I don't know what's sort of interstate travel obviously is all right there, but here what's happening is stuff keeps getting locked down. So you say in the Czech Republic you'll be on the shit list of Greece. That happened yesterday. So now everyone that's going there has to either go into quarantine or have a test. And this keeps happening. So different states will then, their metrics or the way that they quantify how bad the situation is in any given place, they'll go, right, well, that country now, if you're coming in 14 days, well, if you've got 14 days quarantine, that's going to knock you out of action potentially for 2 weeks or potentially a month if it's in both directions. Is that one job worth a month out of your diary? So this whole thing has been, what can we do to start getting more work here? And I have been picking stuff up. I've made a lot of effort, which was going on before the whole COVID thing, to try to at least have some income here. But it's now becoming sort of apparent that although I will definitely still work in the UK and definitely still want to, because it's nice because I get to go back and see family and friends and everything else as well. But it's really going after this. So 9 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm having my Czech language website or a meeting about that built after starting this process 3 years ago and then shelving it because I got busy elsewhere. So that's been this sort of big thing with me, is that what I want, my kind of goal now, the thing that I'm really pushing towards, is so that I can earn enough money off work that I do here to live, and essentially take all my, or as many overheads in the UK away as I possibly can. So that
smart.
So that's where things are right now, but it's a difficult thing at the moment. I don't know about the States, but generally UK and Czech have been reasonably good in terms of the government support that we've had. All of that is now coming to an end. So it's really sort of the pressure's on. And in terms of a motivator, financially right now, I've got to start earning some money. So that's that's been the big change now, is to make sure that I can live off what I earn here, and anything that I can do in the UK or elsewhere, that's great and that's extra. But I've got to have a sort of a base that means that I can pay my mortgage here, can feed the family, all of that sort of stuff. It seems to be going on, but it's getting that presence building up, and it's a language that is incredibly difficult to learn, and that's all sort of harder as well. And I'm reasonably confident with it now to be able to go out and run jobs in Czech, but it's all hard and it's stressful because again that feels intimidating. So that's kind of how it's affected me in terms of sort of the way that it's going to change long term, is that it's nice to take a step back, and that's good anyway. It's good for all sorts of reasons. It's good not to be traveling quite so much. It's good to be with family more. So in a way, I think long term we'll come out the other side of this in a better place, and I think it will suit the sort of work-life balance better, and I'll generally be happier for doing it. But it's obviously an awful lot of upheaval. So for the two of you, has there been sort of big changes or big decisions that you've made in the same sort of way, that you've reevaluated long term what you want to do with the way that you work, I suppose? So Caleb, I guess first.
Definitely. I mean, I've been pretty conservative with finances. My wife and I don't know, 5-6 years ago, like really locked that stuff down, because we were once upon a time in our 20s and just wild living in the city, but we on the personal side we've had that taken care of, and on the business side in the last 2 years really started to like try to think more forward with finances and plan and have a system and all this. By the way, if you haven't read already, you got to go out and read Profit First. It's a phenomenal book. Completely changed the business for me. But a big part of that with this year, and kind of lit a fire under me, was to really get that emergency fund going for the business. So on the personal side, we've kind of had a, everything hit the fan fund, trying to have 3 to 6 months of expenses saved. So if my YouTube channel got deleted, my courses got deleted, and I broke all my limbs, we would be okay for 3 to 6 months. And hopefully it'd turn around after that. So doing that for the business this year, really trying to get ahead on that. Just to kind of have a bank account that kind of just smooths everything out if there's any hiccups with, because things happen. I got audited the IRS came after me for something ludicrous, but they gave me like 2 weeks to deal with it, stuff like that. Or various reasons. Everyone's had that, some kind of experience in their life that's like, yikes.
For sure. So,
getting that taken care of. And and just trying to brainstorm similar to you guys, how to, because I can't get into what it is, who it is, or how much, but there was a pretty big hit this year for the business through this one revenue stream. And, trying to keep those eggs, more eggs in the basket and equal sized eggs is really important for anybody.
Yep.
Like you guys have talked about, if all you do is one type of client or one client, which is even worse, and you lose them, and that's 80% of your business, that's all, that's rough. So, trying to strategically plan going forward how to even more have a good mix of stuff, so that if one takes a hit for whatever reason, it's still solid. So,
yep.
Profit like money profit, not profit like biblical profit, by the way.
Yeah. Profit.
Great book. Definitely read it. Must read.
Who's that by?
I can't remember his name. He's incredibly charismatic. If you get the audiobook, it's unique. Let me look it up here. Profit First. He's got kind of his system online. You can even check that out first. Mike, and his last name is a doozy. Michalowicz.
Wow.
That's why he's successful. Just because of the name. No, I don't mean like that. I just mean that's like a heck of a last. Oh, there we go. Clay put it up here. Okay. Yep.
There you go. Got it, Clay.
I think my biggest problem, Ben, is that it's always been, and I don't say this I say this in the completely negative way to me, is it's always been chasing the passion first, and I'm not a smart person when it comes to, to handling that stuff. And I think that this has kind of been a wake-up call for us when it comes to being more grown up about how we run things. And I'm not good at it. I'm really pretty horrible at that whole aspect of it. And I'm also, I'm my worst enemy when it comes to the confidence I have in what I do. Like, if I'm in a classroom, I could have 100, 200 people, and I'm comfortable in that environment. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to self-promotion, I'm really horrible at that. I can't say, if you do this, or I can help you do this. And so what happens is I get in my own way in terms of the potential for quote-unquote success, because I've always taken everything from the viewpoint of an educator. So I'm confident in what I can provide in terms of education. And if somebody books an hour or 3 hours with me on a Zoom call, there's no problem with me saying I can help you solve your problems. But I'm not going to take the ads out on Facebook and say, if you follow these 5 steps, I can, make you a 6-figure income. I'm just not, that's not who I am as a person. So passion first has always driven me. And I think that, the way I've stayed motivated during all of this is I've started to do things that are the things that I haven't had the time to do. If you have time, take the time to learn new things. And so I didn't know, it sounds stupid, but I never knew how to use speed lights or off-camera flash. And I bought 2 of them a year ago thinking, oh yeah, I'll use these in my cameras. Well, we booked a job a month ago to shoot 26 locations at the school, and guess what? It was all stills, and I spent a week learning how to shoot with off-camera flash. I didn't have to learn about lighting. I just had to learn how to use those tools and how I was going to use them effectively. So I used all of the locations I have here in my house and everywhere else to actually learn how to use those tools, so that when I went into those environments, I had confidence in how to use them. So I just try to push myself. I just try to, and that's my business trips now, is, bye guys, I'm going to go away for 8 hours and I'll go into the barn or I'll go do something. And I just have to force myself to be creative. And it's hard to force myself to be creative because I'm definitely the type of personality where I have to feel motivated. And clients are the people who usually motivate me because they hire me to do something. And I'm not like some people who just can do stuff for the sake of doing it. But I will sometimes get an idea in my head, I want to learn something. And then I can go on a 3 or 4 day, kind of learning experience. So that's what I do. What is this? Also, girls, hit the like button. We got 2 down thumbs. What's happening, 360 grad? Are they down thumbs? What do they call these things, these down thumbs? Are they called down thumbs?
Thumb downs.
Dislikes. Thumb downs. Ridiculous.
Oh, well.
What should we say to the chat people over here? What's happening?
What are you guys doing to stay creative?
Yeah.
Is there anything you two do? I said that to the chat, but like, do you? What keeps you? What recharges your batteries? Mine is doing something completely unrelated.
Exactly, gardening or
cooking
or
for me,
working on motorbikes, or anything else that you have some passion for. That takes, so not just like idly, something that's I don't know, something that you can do without thinking about it, but something that you have some interest in, something that you care about. Because I think it's quite healthy, and in a lot of ways, as we were saying earlier, when I actually went back to doing some production stuff after months and months off, it was all just straight back in and your brain was working for it. So that kind of takes that worry away. And in some ways, it's quite healthy to have just stepped back from it. And I kind of got slightly obsessive about the garden, because half our garden was all right, the other half was like the
British. Yeah.
So this has been amazing. So to do all that and become sort of quite focused on that in another way has been very healthy for everything else, I think. So yeah, anything else that I'm quite obsessive about certain things. I have certain interests that just sort of take over. That's what you're thinking about when you're going to sleep or whatever else. So it's that, or it's the old Ducati that I'm doing up, or it's one of those things that's not the cameras. And I'm a bit the same as Jem saying, when there's clients involved, then that's where my head's at. And but I struggle to get into that when jobs aren't on.
Yeah, but I love new skills. That's a huge thing for me. There's no question that what is happening. Here we go, coming in strong. Our boy Neil with a super chat. First one of the show.
Is that Neil
Cheers,
from the Young
fellas.
Ones that he has as his? That looks like it's
but
not. But is it?
No,
That looks amazing.
Neil's a good guy.
The picture looks incredible.
So for me, it's really just learning new things, and I think that, again, passion first, but the skills I've been learning having to do with live streaming and creating virtual events and the things that I've done, they're starting to pay off. I'm not going to make $1 gazillion doing it, but I'm starting to get work from those new skills. But I was genuinely interested in learning those skills. So I don't think I would have gone down that road unless it was something that I felt. And Camera Flask definitely pushed that, because with all the frustrations that we've had in the past of dropouts and technical issues and everything else, when this all happened and we had nothing but time on our hands, I said, I'm going to take the time to figure that out, because we're going to continue to do this every Wednesday. We're going to continue to do these things. And as funny as it is, quote unquote, for the people who are in the chat, it's really not funny to have the show go down and the audio to drop out and everything else. And here we are, and I'm in the country, and I have a Wi-Fi hotspot. It's not perfect, but day in, day out for my live streams and weekly for Camera Flask, we don't have a lot of issues anymore because of those combinations. And I'm taking that knowledge and I'm translating it to things that I'm doing with clients. And now I'm going to do a series on remote production for LinkedIn Learning. So there's things that are coming out of this that are positive. But I just say, push towards the things that you're interested in. If it's something that you feel, and this has nothing to do with how you handle finances or what you're doing at home, but creatively, if it's something that you can't get out of your head and you just want to learn about it, pursue that. If it's something that you think is going to get you more subscribers or is going to get you more clients because you're fitting into a particular bucket, but you're not interested in it, personally, I wouldn't pursue it because you're going to be miserable in your life. You have to pursue the things that are going to get you motivated emotionally, mentally, every single day. If you try to do the things that are, I should do that because it's the right thing to do, or because people want me to do it and I'll get work from it, I'm telling you, it's going to suck. You're going to hate yourself every night when you go to bed, and you're probably not going to get the clients. There's other people better suited, because people who are like truly motivated by, I just want to get X number of clients or I want to make X number of dollars, those people are going to succeed because their game is to make money. But I think that for me, as I've said this on the show before, money is always the byproduct. I just need to be smarter about how I manage it. That's really my downfall, is just being smarter about that. But I'm always going to go for the passion, always. Well, come on, Scott, you crazy. $4.99.
$4.99.
There you go. Come on. That's gonna hit you in the wallet for your next accessory for Komodo. But we love having you here, and you create great content. And you've been doing some great stuff online. His live streams are great. So thanks for being here and hanging for the whole show.
That also kind of calls time, I think, on this evening's episode. This has been good. And the one sort of thing that I will say is kind of my final bit on it is that I think that doing this every week has been a massive help through this entire thing. As we mentioned earlier on, when everything was locked down and we couldn't go out and see people, which is not the case right now, but it was always great hanging out with, obviously, the two of you, but also with everyone else coming in every week. But also just sort of keeping, seeing what everyone else is doing and just sort of keeping energy up. But also, there's definitely something very comforting to know that everyone's having these same issues. It's been tough for all of us, and there's a definite reassurance in that. It's a big help. So thank you to you all for sort of helping us all through these slightly weird, trying times. Last words, gents?
Bart wanted to know how low the mason jar is. That's the rest of the 750. I'm definitely feeling it. I tell you, 1,000,000%.
1 hour, he's going to be asleep on the sofa.
Oh, it's going to be... No, I'm going to go cook. I love cooking. It's beautiful. I love hanging out with you guys every week. I love the community that we have here. I have to be honest, I'm completely sick of Zoom calls. Not one-on-ones, but I really fed off of that for the first 2 or 3 months, and I'm kind of over that now. I'm really thinking future, and I really want to figure out where we're going with stuff. And we're in this weird place, at least in the U.S. It's different around the world, where every state is different, and we don't know where the country's going. But I think that inherently we feel like we have to be productive, and we're figuring out ways to do that. And I'm not going to let this thing beat me, trust me. I mean, I'm going to survive this thing, and my family's going to survive it. The school is off for my kids for the fall. They're going to be at home. It's insane. But we're going to beat this thing. Keep your, even though this glass is less than half full, I just say keep your glass more than half full. And that's what I go. That's what I got. Go, good, go. I know Zooms won't stop. George, come on. I know they won't stop, but I'm sick of them. All right, there you go. That's what I got. I want to hear what Caleb has to say in closing this out. Come on, buddy.
People like Scott, glad you guys were able to make it. It's always fun to see someone who can't make it in often and gets to hang out with us. So thank you for joining us. Made a better show. Keep your stick on the ice, boys and girls. And someday it won't be 2020.
And I love, and we had somebody retract a thumbs down.
I saw that.
Or down thumbs.
Okay.
Come on, this is it. Ben, what do you got for us to close us out, Mr. Host?
I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping that was me sort of guilting them, saying that I take everything to heart, that maybe we lost one of the thumbs down. I don't know.
They felt bad. They're like, oh, Ben.
Maybe. I hope so. I hope that's what it was. Just, again, always wonderful. Thank you so much for all of you for coming and hanging out with us. It always feels to me sort of 11:30 when I'm just desperate to go to bed and I'm really tired and can barely keep my eyes open. And then by 1 a.m. I'm absolutely excited and can't sleep for the next 3 hours, but in a good way. It's always great. So thanks again. Make sure you subscribe to Jem's channel for not just this, but all the other great stuff that he puts out. And we are going to be here again doing the same thing next week. So please join us again, and we'll see you then. Good night.
And final parting words, as Bill says, keep your head on a swivel.